All right, in this station, we're going to take a look at repetition and alliteration. So we're going to start on page 15 where our Ask Aiden poem is. And let's just reread that poem real quick. Are aardvarks anxious? Do dragons dream? Ever seen an eager elephant? Newts are never nervous, are they? So the first question I have for you is, which letter begins most of the words in the first line of the poem? Are aardvarks anxious? Awesome. You probably said the letter A because each one of those words in that first line does start with the letter A. So I'd like you to take your pencil now and write A on the outside of that line, right on page 15. Now look at the remaining lines, seeing what letter begins most of the words in each line. And you're going to write the letter on the outside. So for line 2, do dragons dream? They all begin with which letter? Good, a D. Third line, ever seen an eager elephant? Most of the words start with which letter? Good, it's an E. And the last line, newts are never nervous, are they? Again, most of the words in this line begin with which letter? Right, an N. Please make sure that each of those are labeled just like on the screen. So repetition is an important poetic device or tool used by some poets to add emphasis. This poem repeats letters and sentence structures, the questions, but other poems repeat specific words. So again, this poem is repeating the letter, the starting letter of words, as well as the formation of each line being a question. When an author repeats the same letter or letters at the beginning of words closely connected, we call that alliteration. So are aardvarks anxious? That is an example of alliteration because they all have the beginning A sound. Do dragons dream? Again, the alliteration of the D sound. We even hear it within the last 2 lines of the poem as well, even though that there's some filler words. Ever seen an eager elephant? You hear that E repeated. Newts are never nervous, are they? You hear that concentration of the N. Words must appear close together in order to be considered an example of alliteration. So for example, Tommy wanted his lunch early on Tuesday does not contain alliteration because the words Tommy and Tuesday are too far apart. So we're going to practice with some alliteration. I'm going to have you open up to your Poet's Journal to page 16, and we're going to look at number 3. We're going to look at the letters that we can write in a poem. So we're going to use the letter A as an example from our poem, and it's A. The animal is an aardvark. The verb or an action word is the word are, and the feeling is anxious. So as you can see, letters 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, I placed a letter that we would like you to concentrate on, and we would like you to fill in the chart for each one of those letters. So for the letter B, you're going to pick an animal. You're going to pick an action word that also begins with the letter B, and you're going to pick a feeling that starts with the letter B to kind of create your own alliteration. I'm going to start the timer for 5 minutes to give you some think time. Please record on page 16. All right, that's the end of our 5 minutes. However, if you need a few extra minutes, you can certainly rewind the video and restart the timer for another 5. The next question we're going to take a look at is question number 4 on page 17. Poets use repetition for several reasons. Sometimes they use it to stress an important point or thought. Sometimes they want to repeat certain letters or sounds, as in rhyming words, to make their poems sound pleasing. So using one of the letters on your previous chart, you're going to use the words from one of the lines to try to make one question that you find interesting. You can revise the chart if you feel that once you start working, the question doesn't come very easily. But remember, we want to keep the animal, the verb or action word, and the feeling all starting with the same letter. You're going to write your questions on the line below. So I would like to see a question for each of the letters, but do as much as you can in the center rotation. All right, and to wrap up, we're just going to repeat the importance of repetition and alliteration. Repetition, again, is using the same thing more than one time in a row. So again, in this poem, they use the idea of the repetition of the letters, but as well as the formation of the questions in each line. And then additionally, with the repetition of their letters, it also kind of double dips and gives us alliteration, which is the repeating of the same letter or letters at the beginning of closely connected words. Nice job in this session, and I'm excited to see your chart and your questions.